welcome to the Fletch Chats Podcast. I'm your host Fletcher Finn, and in this week's episode, I'm sitting down and chatting with the wonderful Patrick O Sullivan. Pat, fresh off winning 25,000 for winning Last Singer Standing, is on the verge of qualifying to represent Ireland at the Eurovision 2022. So I decided 2 days before he appears on the Late Late Show, which will decide if he's going to represent Ireland or not, he sat down with me to discuss his career, his music, winning Last Singer Standing, and the hopes for Eurovision this coming year. If you're listening to this and you don't have 30 minutes to sit down, please know this podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple Music, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just type in Fletch Chats and you'll be able to put this in your ears and go for your walk, go for your run, your jog, or whatever you're up to. You can listen to me on the go as well. But as you're here on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and basically enjoy the show. What's happening? How are you keeping, my friend?
I'm very well, buddy. How are you keeping?
I'm good as well. So, like, a lot has happened since we left school. We went to the same secondary school, weren't in the same class, but obviously you're in the same school. The school wasn't that big, so we knew of each other. So I always kind of knew you were into music. In Cap and Lee when you sang Walking in Memphis, and all of us were just going crazy. And like you were on Night Entertainment. So like, what happens when you finish school? Did you go to college or?
God, I feel like I cannot live down that Cap and Lee singing Walking in Memphis. Anytime anyone from the country, that's the only memory they seem to have. So after school, I went to London straight away after leaving cert and did a degree in musical theatre. I'd kind of known like since I was like, 11 or 12 that was what I was going to do. So I was really prepared to do it and make the move kind of as soon as I finished. So I did that, and I went to a college called Arts Educational Schools in Chiswick. And that school, the principal of that school is Andrew Lloyd Webber. And I always say that because Andrew Lloyd Webber tends to be kind of the only musical theatre name that people who aren't into musical theatre know. He's kind of an anchor to everyone else. So he was the principal of that school. So I went there and had an absolute blast. Like, I just totally loved it because it's what I had wanted to do for so long. And there are so few kind of avenues to do that in Ireland. Like, I was really lucky. I had lots of opportunities to do lots of things in the Opera House and all sorts of different stuff. But really, I kind of felt like I had a chance to kind of come into my own when I actually got to go away and study it.
And did you find leaving Cork and going to London like a big shift?
I did, but you know what? Actually, at the time, I couldn't wait to go. Like, I was just dying to go for so long because, like, I actually didn't love school. Like, I wasn't bad at school. Like, I did all right and stuff, but it really didn't feel like it was kind of like where I should be. You know what I mean? I didn't really have like, I know no one's passionate about like their subjects in school, but like I had very little that was kind of tying me there in terms of like, I wasn't on any of the like, the GA teams or any of that stuff. So I really felt like I was going to kind of, meet like my people and kind of come into my own when I left. And actually it was only after I left that I really started to miss and appreciate Cork like I do now. Like it's so strange. Like when you live a place and you're there every day, you just don't value it. You know what I mean? You take it totally for granted. And now, like, I miss it every day. Like, I really
that is crazy. Yeah, that's a crazy thing. Like, I never lived away from Cork, but I always find it fascinating when like people would come from like America and be like, "Oh, I love this place. I want to move here." And I'm like, "You like live in Florida? Like, why are you coming to Cork?" Or people who leave and go to like London and they say, "Oh, Cork is a great spot."
And I do all these ridiculous things. Like, I use like Ballymaloo relish and I buy it like in bulk, and I use Chef and I eat Kimberly's and like all of this stupid stuff that like sure, like they're nice, but it just does kind of make me feel like I'm at home, you know what I mean? Because I miss it. Like,
and then when you were in Cork, were you doing pantos all throughout, like, and that kind of stuff when you were a bit younger? Or
so when I was 10 I did Oliver in the Opera House. There was this might not come as a shock to you, but there was a shortage of young fellas who wanted to do Oliver in the Opera House. So they kind of came around to all the primary schools and were like desperate, like, are there any boys here who can sing? And I hadn't done anything up until that point, but I did, and I did the audition for it. And then they were kind of like, God, this guy can sing, but like he has never set foot on a stage. So that seems like a ridiculous notion to kind of make him front the show or whatever. But they did it anyway. I think mostly because they had very few options, but like it was great. And I just totally caught the bug then after doing that. And then, like you say, yeah, it was Pantos in the Opera House for, at Christmas time. And it was, they did a couple of kind of musical theatre shows and stuff in the Opera House throughout the years. And I tried a bit of everything. I did some small kind of TV stuff and some small film stuff. And I was basically just like hungry to do whatever I could. So yeah, it was all that type of thing. And actually, like, I found when I went to London that I actually had a lot more like performance experience than most people do, because the pool is a lot smaller here. So I got loads of opportunities to like play parts and stuff before I ever went away and trained. Whereas lots of people, there's so much competition in England that people like would obviously loved what they were doing, but they hadn't actually had the opportunity to like play roles and stuff on stage. So I kind of had a bit of an advantage in that sense.
Yeah, and so then what leads you then to enter a singing competition? Like, obviously it sounds like lots of your experience comes in, like, obviously you can sing, but it's lots of plays and all an acting kind of vibe. So what then gets you to make a leap to like a singing competition?
Yeah, like I'd never even considered doing one. It had never really crossed my mind, because obviously they've been on the go like since I was a teenager, and it had just never been something that particularly appealed to me. And then honestly what it was, I'd been doing the Book of Mormon in the West End when the pandemic started. And then obviously the pandemic shut it down. So I wasn't in that anymore. And like, I just found myself that I was sitting in my flat, and you can imagine the size of the flat that I can afford to live in.
Yeah.
4 walls. And I had been sitting in my fucking flat for, 18 months. And I was like, I haven't had any new experiences or tried anything new or done anything that I'm going to remember, in 10 or 15 years in the last, and then this like sponsored ad came up on my Instagram for this new show that RTE were doing. And I just thought kind of like, why not? Like, I thought I'm available, like I'm terminally available. So and it just seemed like good fun. And it was kind of a new concept. And it was like, the prize was just money, as opposed to, we're going to try and give you a record deal or whatever, because that just never seems to pan out particularly well for anyone.
You've won a competition before, right? I remember when we were in 6th year, you like won a competition and you'd release like Someone Like You, right, by Adele.
Yeah, I did. That was called Teen Idol, and that was like it was a national competition, but it was for under 18, and it was basically for anyone who wanted to enter it. And I kind of released it. It was what it was really was they gave you a session in a studio, which was really cool, because like that's expensive, you know what I mean? It was never something that I would have just gone and done, but it kind of gave me my first first taste of what that is like. And I kind of left it at that afterwards. I went and continued doing the musical theatre stuff, but I do remember that like really fondly, and it was it's kind of a thing that I'm coming back to more now than I have over the 10 years when I've been in London. I'm slowly kind of coming back into this kind of spending a bit of time in the studio and new music and kind of the music industry as opposed to theatre, which is quite exciting.
And like, because you sing, when you entered Last Singer Standing, like, I presume you're thinking, I'm here to win this thing, right? Or are you thinking, I'm gonna come and hopefully, like, what is your mindset to when you applied?
Yeah, with Last Singer Standing, like, it was an odd show in that there were a whole load of variables that meant, like, even if you were the best singer in the world, there was a very good chance that you were going to get booted off, because
you get a bad song, or
it was chance whether you get picked to sing in the first place, and then it was chance if you did get picked what songs would come up, and if if you could sing them well. And
Mm-hmm.
then there was a round where your fellow contestants had the opportunity to kick out whoever they wanted. So
Yeah.
if you were too good, there was a chance that like the people standing behind it would boot you out. So I kind of went into it and tried to be like as tactical as I could in terms of trying to pick songs and stuff. But I was very aware of the fact that like it was, really out of my control if I was gonna like win it. You know what I mean? And that was quite nice actually, because it took a lot of the pressure off. I was like, no matter how good you are here, it's a toss of the coin. So I was lucky, really.
And how did you find the recording it for TV? Was it it's the first? Like just I presume it's all pre-recorded, but how did you find under pressure? Like when someone else is singing and the camera's panning and you're just standing there trying to clap along or whatever, or your one-liners like, "Hi, I'm Pat," and boom, like how?
Always trying to be really charming. You know what? I actually really enjoyed it, and I think that's a lot down to the production company. It was there's a production company called Shinawil that do a lot of TV shows, and they kind of sell them to RTE then. And they were just so great. Like they really looked after us. The format of the show was really nice. There was no kind of bitchiness or nastiness or looking for sob stories or anything like that. They were just nice and decent, and they wanted us to have a good time. And actually, I loved it. Like it was really fun because like I love chatting to people. Like it's a big part of my job. Like communicating with people and all that type of thing. So and because it was new to me, I was just loving it. Like I lapped it up.
And you were dressed unbelievably. Like, because I remember seeing you when you sang the U2 tune, and I was like, that shirt is 10 out of 10. And then the blazer you wore to win the thing, I was like, forget the singing, you'd have won it alone just for looking that good with the blazer. I was like, that is top stuff.
Oral patterns.
Yeah.
Recording of that show, yeah.
And you don't get to keep those clothes, do you?
Well, you get to keep some, but generally, if they're expensive and nice, you don't get to keep them. So you get offered like, the T-shirt or
the pennies T-shirt that they have spare.
Yeah, you don't get to take home the good bits.
And did you find you seem to get along with the people there? Like the other contestants seem to be kind of friendly enough with each other on the stage or whatever. But what's that competitive edge like? Because obviously you want to beat the next person, and you so was that kind of awkward to manage or to like tiptoe around, that you're all friendly with each other behind the scenes, but you all obviously want the other person to not do as good as they can, Like
we genuinely did all get on. Like we had a really good time, and they were really genuinely nice people. But like it's kind of funny. I'm kind of learning this about myself because I've been in these kind of situations more recently. Like when I'm in a situation like that, I dial up my friendliness to 11, because it puts me at ease if I can kind of start a conversation with someone and get on with someone and get on a good level with them. It makes me feel more comfortable then, and because I don't respond well to that kind of tension. That's not particularly conducive to me being relaxed and all that type of stuff. So I kind of go out of my way to try and make good relationships with these people, because I find it easier that way if we can kind of have, find something in common and not kind of get into that kind of awkward silence in the green room type thing.
Yeah.
And you can only do that if people are on board with it. And they all were. Like, we still have we've still got a WhatsApp chat going that maybe not every day, but that there's always something going on in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's nice. And also those kind of people tend to be your kind of people. You know what I mean? You've got similar interests. You're all on a singing TV show.
Yes, of course.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it was nice. It was good.
And then so in the show, you said if you wanted 25K, you're going to put a deposit for a house or you're going to get a mobile home. Now that 25K is there, have you changed your mind and just spent all of it on something crazy? Or?
Yeah, I mean, when they asked me first, I was like, camper van. I want a camper van and I'm going to, see the world. And then I had some conversations with my my girlfriend and stuff, and we're like, well, this is probably quite a good opportunity to save some money. That doesn't come along very often. So no, I actually haven't spent any of it. I mean, I've spent some of it, but I haven't done any big splurges or anything, because it's a like it was a huge amount of money, certainly for me, and I think for most people, like,
Yeah.
it's rare that you have that kind of money like sitting in the bank. You know what I mean? So that's like,
it's like a cheat code, you know. Like you've just like stolen like 2 years of savings or whatever, you know.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you're saving say 1,000 a month, like you've just taken 20. You just skip 20 months, which is great.
I just genuinely feel really lucky, like, because like you say, that could be life savings. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a strange thing that I still kind of have to wrap my head around a little bit. I kind of behave like I don't have it. You know what I mean? Like, because like I say, I don't want to just kind of like, you know,
because otherwise you just spend it. And like if you just so that you've been wise with it.
Yeah, I think it's like a nest egg that's just kind of somewhere else, and I'm trying to just scrape by as I normally do.
Yeah, that's good. And so then you finish the show, and then did you know that this Eurovision song entry was coming if you won, or was that done, like, how did that develop?
Yeah, no, I didn't. So the show all finished, and it was all great and everything. And then I got an email off the production company, and they said, "Oh, is it all right if we give your mobile phone number to Nicky Byrne from Westlife the show?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." Yes, what's he going to do? Prank me?
Yeah.
Then he rang me and he was like, "Look, I've been doing some writing with Danny O'Reilly from the Coronas and Lar Cave from All Twins, and we've got this song, and after getting to hear my voice and getting to know me, he was like, I think that you could do a really good version of this, and it might be a good Eurovision entry."
But you do such a stellar job with it. Like it is insane. I remember because I saw you put it up, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, and then you hit play, and it's like 4 seconds in, you're like, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. And it just like it fits so perfectly. I like it just works so well.
Yeah, like it was kind of ridiculous. He kind of came. Well, I don't know. Like, I guess when you're Nicky Byrne, you kind of are more selective with the opportunities that you take. But when you're like Pat O'Sullivan, you yes, I'll do whatever. So even if the song had been terrible, I probably would have given it a go anyway and seen what I could make of it. But when I heard it, like, I really loved it. Like, I thought it was a cracking song, like, and a really kind of cool fucking modern thing for Ireland to do for the Eurovision as well. So yeah, he sent it over, and then they had done a demo of it, but they were like, look, you just take it away and sit with it for a couple of weeks, see what you want to do with it, mix it up, change it, do whatever you want. And I did really, like, I didn't structurally change it or anything, but I put a lot of, like, you know, kind of, when you sing a lot, you kind of have different affects and little bits that are like yours, you know what I mean, that are things that you do. So I added a lot of them, and I added a couple of money notes and that type of thing, and I went back to them, and the other thing to remember is that these songs are valuable, you know what I mean, like, Westlife could have recorded it, or the Coronas could have recorded it, or they could have sold it to some other artist. Like, they're not for nothing. So we were really, like, we had a really good, like, frank conversation that was like, you know, let's see how we go with this, and if it's a great fit, then brilliant. But, you know, there was nothing kind of set in stone before hearing them, before we got the mastered track back. But then we got it back, and it was like, oh, this is actually, like, really exciting. This could be a really cool, different submission for Ireland. So then we pulled the trigger for it and we submitted it. But, like, even when you submit it, it still doesn't mean anything. Like, I feel like this is how I spend my life, just forever waiting on someone, waiting for someone to tell me whether I've made it or not. But yeah, it was great then when it got selected. Like,
and so you're up against how many? 3 or 4 people?
No, there's 6 songs in total, and I'm one of the 6. So there's 5.
Okay. And then so this podcast is going to come out on Wednesday. So in 2 days' time, it'll be on the Late Late Show, right? So are you performing it live on the show as well, or what's the format of the show going to be?
Yeah, we perform it live. So we did do a little pre-record just in case anyone gets COVID or anything. So there is one kind of in the can should anything terrible happen. But yeah, all the performances are live on the night. And yeah, we've kind of we've got a shoestring budget to try and put together some kind of production around the song as well. So it's really exciting. Like, I've got a choreographer and I've got some dancers, and we've got like a little set piece, and
that is actually quite class.
It's really cool because I'm having all these phone calls and I'm like, no, I don't. You know what I mean? I've got really nice kind of ownership over it, which is very novel to me. I'm never the one that's making the decision, so I'm loving that.
And so, were you into Eurovision as a kid? Like, because I moved from Ireland. I moved from South Africa to Ireland when I was 7, and so my stepmother is from Ireland, so she grew up seeing Ireland win the Eurovision all the time. And then so every year we'd sit down and watch RTE and watch Eurovision. So even from a young age, it was kind of like, oh, this time of year is Eurovision, and my wife wouldn't miss a Eurovision for anything. Like if there's any plans, the plans are cancelled for Eurovision. But for yourself, were you into it growing up? I presume since you were singing and performing.
Yeah, I was, and like again, it's because it kind of felt like, again, the Eurovision felt like my people. You know what I mean? Like I knew about music and I knew about performance, and it was that kind of time of the year when actually like my opinion counted for something, as opposed to all the rest of the time of the year when I was like, oh yeah, Manchester United, when really I didn't care. And as a kid and like as a teenager and stuff, you try and just kind of, you try and fit in as best you can. You don't want to make life difficult for yourself,
especially in an all boys school as well. Like there's not many things. Well, when we were in school, not many other interests people had. You know what I mean? Like there's just like sport, and then going to an Irish school, we were all GA, all Ireland, and if you weren't that, you were kind of had to find something else. Yeah,
totally. If you do anything that's like outside of the norm, and I think this is the case wherever you go, I think it's tricky for kids and young people, no matter what it is that they're into. But if it's not like what everyone else is into, it's hard. Like it's quite tough, and it can be quite like, it can be quite isolating. So then when something comes along when you can really like feel involved, and it's like everyone is interested in your thing, you get quite passionate about it. And I loved it, like, and I still love it. I still watch it every year because there's kind of nothing else like it. And like,
no,
it's the only televised thing that's almost exclusively about music and on that scale. You know what I mean? There is no other avenue for watching that. The Super Bowl halftime show, that happened. And that's kind of it. Like there isn't any other, which I find quite surprising, really.
It is interesting when you put it that way, because there's nothing else on that scale. Nothing even close.
No, not at all. And I don't really understand it because, like, everyone likes music. Like, it's just music, and I don't know why it's not more prominent.
Yeah, and so let's look best case scenario. 2 days time, you get through. Are we going there to win, or are we going there just to take part? What's the mindset?
There's no point in going if you're not going there to win. Like that would absolutely be the goal. But having said that, like Eurovision is wild. Like anyone can win Eurovision. It can really be anything. And each year the winner is so different.
Yes,
so
that is true.
Of course you're going there gunning for the win, and you're gonna try and be smart and do the performance that you think can win. But equally, like, you need to be realistic in terms of it can be anything, and you've got no idea what everyone else is doing, and it's very difficult to read the temperature of a continent and what they're going to want on that night. So I think if you can go and be confident and proud in what you're delivering, and you feel like you've got as good a chance as anyone else, I think that's the attitude to have, as opposed to going and being like, we'll give it a go. But equally, you don't want to go and be gutted if you don't win, because, it's not
a foregone conclusion. Yeah. No, that's exciting. I like the confidence. I like it. And so, like, just to wrap up, do you want to tell us about the song? Because I'm going to play out the episode with the song. Do you want to tell us any, like, I don't know, do you want to introduce the tune?
Well, it's called One Night, One Kiss, One Promise.
Ooh, sounds exciting.
Yeah, and it's about like a young couple, and I will say that they are in the throes of passion, let's say.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's not quite a dance track, but it's definitely up tempo. It's what we're trying to do is kind of marry those like Europop dance tracks that do really well at Eurovision, but kind of pair that up with like Ireland's kind of history and heritage of storytelling and stuff. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the aim, is to try and mash both of those together, and I hope that we have succeeded in doing that.
Oh, it's a stellar tune. It is a stellar tune, Pat. And I look forward to seeing you in the late show. And we can vote, right? The people can vote. The people can text in to vote on the day.
I wish I had the number to give you, but that won't.
I'll find it and I'll put it at the end of this.
Yeah, it's the 4th of February. It is the Late Late Euro song, and all votes are very welcome and encouraged.
Thank you, Pat. Where can people find you? Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. It's Patrick O Sullivan or Patrick_B_O_S.
Oh, I like that. Pat.
All the good ones are taken.
Yes, I hate trying to find the name for it. But Pat, thank you so much for coming on, my friend. We look forward to tuning in and voting for you. And we look forward to you bringing the Eurovision back to Dublin.
And the Rebels!
That's it, exactly. We'll talk to you soon, Pat. Thank you so much.
Keep on moving. Keep on moving, don't stop, no.
Was that, folks? Enjoyable podcast, right? Enjoyable interview. Pat, top man, thanks for coming on. You can get him on Instagram at Pat Brian Sullivan, and make sure this Friday night, people, RTE1 on the RTE player. If you don't have a TV, RTE player, everyone has a phone, everyone has a laptop or whatever. RTE player, RTE1, 9:45, the Late Late Show. And let's vote for Patrick. Let's send him to Turin to represent us here in Ireland, and hopefully he'll come back on in the end of May after he's won Eurovision and is now like a household name. Once again, Patrick, much love for coming on. I'm going to play out this show with One Night, One Kiss, One Promise. And YouTube, don't copyright strike me. He's given me permission to do this. Much love, folks. Bye-bye.
Maybe find a bit more safety somewhere here. And I suppose I should have spoken up. I think I probably should have volunteered. Oh my God, I can't complain. I appreciate that I'm not faced. I love it when you say that. Shadows, ghosts like hiding from the bedroom lights. Can't explain this feeling. Rest your head on my heart, it's beating. Hair tossed in our eyes. Never wanna close them, time to be honest. One night, one kiss, one promise. One night, one kiss, one promise. We're close. Oh, we've been feeling something moving as we made our way up here. Though I'm still sold, I see a struggle as you try to spit out something more sincere. Oh my God, we're both insane. We appreciate we haven't changed. I love it when you say that. Shadows, ghosts like hiding from the bedroom lights. Can't explain this feeling. Rest your head on my heart, it's beating. Hair tossed in our eyes. Never wanna close them, time to be honest. One night, one kiss, one promise. Hiding from the bedroom lights. Can't explain this feeling. Rest your head on my heart, it's beating. Hair tossed in our eyes. Never wanna close them, time to be honest. One night, one kiss, one promise. Rest your head on my heart, it's beating. Hair tossed in our eyes. I never wanna close them. Time to be honest. One night, one kiss, one promise.